Hello, welcome to rock.4x4.com. I'm John Currie. The subject today is the Antirock sway bar. Basically, it's a light sway bar. And one question is asked, where did it come from? How did we develop it? Well, when we were back in 1997, when the TJ first came out, we were building suspensions and going out rock crawling in TJs. One thing I noticed was the front wheels were doing most of the work, and the rear wheels weren't moving very much. So what we decided we needed to do is come up with some way to balance the front with the rear. So we started messing with lighter weight sway bars, and that's how we basically came up with the Antirock sway bar. After doing, putting one on, we realized, we first had a hit. The first time we took a Jeep out and had a sway bar on the front, that it just felt a lot more stable, had a lot less body roll. And one thing you need to think of what a sway bar does. Most people think a sway bar controls the wheels. The sway bar doesn't really control the wheels, it controls the body. The idea is when you go through bumps and you're walking your tires through bumps, you want that body to stay nice and flat. You don't want it rocking this way and rocking that way. And that's one thing that sway bar does. The first time that sway bar was used in competition was in November of 1998. We went to a rock crawl in New Mexico, Las Cruces, New Mexico. And people thought, hey, they're crazy, they got a sway bar on there. Or the people that were watching work, they thought we had some kind of magic traction device in there. And for us, it was nothing, simply just a sway bar that was designed to get the full movement, let the wheels move, not restricting travel in the suspension, but give you a lot of confidence when you're driving it that you had a nice and stable vehicle and it felt really safe. This is an Antirock sway bar. Most people ask me, what is a sway bar? What does it do? Basically, the sway bar is connecting both of your front wheels together. And as one wheel goes up, it wants to force the other wheel up. If one wheel goes down, it wants to force the other wheel down. And by doing that, it's basically keeping the body flat. The sway bar is made out of a 4340 chromoly material that's heat treated. One question is asked a lot, how do you determine what rate the sway bar should be? And the rate is determined in the sway bar, actually the length of it and the diameter of it. And the basic way we figured that out was actually by trying different diameters. We'd actually make different sway bars in different diameters and take them out and drive it around and figure out what we felt the most comfortable with. One of the neat features about the Antirock sway bar is it is adjustable. You could actually adjust the rate by the arm. If you notice on the arm, it actually has 5 holes. Well, the longer the arm is, the lighter the rate. As you come back 1 inch at a time, the rate of the sway bar will increase. It'll get stiffer and stiffer. The original Antirock sway bar, that arm is made out of steel. Steel is. We still offer that same exact arm. We also offer the arm in aluminum. No big advantage over here with aluminum. It's a little bit lighter, probably about half the weight. Cosmetically, it's a little nicer looking. Next item I want to talk about is the link. The link actually connects the arm to the axle, or to the wheel basically. Now notice on our sway bar we use heim joints. We use a high-end heim joint. It uses a carbon fiber impregnated heim, so as the link wears, it doesn't get a lot of play and start clicking in here. But an important factor about using a heim is there's no play in it. It's not a bushing. There's no rubber. There's no urethane in it. It gives a real positive feel between the sway bar and the front wheel. And that's the link there. Notice the link's adjustable. So for different height vehicles, this is left and right hand threaded. You could actually screw it out. Also, it's made with extra thread. If you need be, you could actually unscrew it, cut some of the thread off, and make it shorter. So that's the link there. Another feature on the sway bar is the bushing that goes in the front cross member. We're using a UHMW material, ultra high molecular weight plastic basically. And the advantage of this material is it's not a bushing material like you would find in urethane again. Urethane is going to be softer, it's going to give more give, so that's going to take some of the sensitivity away from the sway bar. We actually CNC machine these in-house, and an advantage of this material is it doesn't squeak. A urethane material, after it's in there for a while, it'll start squeaking. If you ever notice a stock sway bar with urethane around it, it'll squeak after a while. The advantage of this, you grease it once, it never squeaks. The spline of the sway bar, actually we're using, I believe it's a 26 spline sway bar. So it indexed actually 26 times. But technically both arms are going to be parallel with each other when they're put in the vehicle. That was a spline that's unique to us, and we make the arms all in-house and broach them in-house so they fit. Also on the sway bar, it uses a pinch bolt on the arm. So as you slide it on there, so there's no play in it, you actually pinch this together right here to take all the play out of the arm. We've been discussing the front Antirock sway bar, the 9900. And basically the sway bar goes across the front of the frame. There's a cross member up here, and it goes right across the front. If you see the arm right here, the arm's connected to the sway bar, which is in the frame. This bushing right here actually goes in the frame, right in here. And then the sway bar goes through that bushing, and the arm connects to that. Now, one question we've had a lot is, how do I know what angle should this arm be at? And in a normal situation on a TJ, the arm should actually be slightly up. But the actual correct answer to that is not that it should be slightly up. The arm should actually be level when the wheel's in the center of its travel. So if your TJ has basically 10 inches of wheel travel, and it's 5 up and 5 down, this arm would be basically parallel with the ground. Most Jeeps don't. They'll have maybe 8 to 10 inches of wheel travel, and they may have 4 to 5 up, and the rest will be down. So that's why the angle is actually slightly up. This is the linkage. This connects the sway bar to the front axle. Now, on a stock Jeep, this would be connecting right to the stock sway bar application. We're looking at a modified Jeep here, and you notice this has a different arm to connect the sway bar to. These are all the parts that come in the kit. There's an instruction, has grade 8 hardware. The pinch bolts are grade 8 hardware. The linkage, the instruction is pretty informative. It's actually a very easy kit to install. The biggest problem we have with people doing it at home, some of the aftermarket bumpers may interfere with where the sway bar goes in, so you either need to disconnect the bumper to put the sway bar in. I've also run into where you actually had to come in here and notch the bumper mount on some of the bumpers because it actually comes over that cross member. But 99% of the time we'll be able to make the sway bar work in every application. Thanks for the interest in the Antirock sway bar. And we'll see you on the trail at rockchalk4x4.com.